heartburn.
Did you get your Motrin? Or not Motrin. What is this?
Got to drink my Enos or whatever. What the heck?
Alka-Seltzer?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could use it. I've been sick for all of January.
Oh, man. Yeah, you have been. Bad run of luck, eh?
Oh, my goodness. I'm on antibiotics here now. And I'm actually starting to come around here today. But yeah, she's been a haul.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man.
I'm on LTIR.
Careful, you get sent off to Robida Island here pretty soon.
Yeah. Robot Island. That's good. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're having a harder time than the Utah Hockey Club finding a name there. How do you like that segue?
That was very good. That was super good. So I'm curious. So I didn't even know that. So how do you say it? Was it Wasatch? Wasatch?
Well, I was going to ask you guys.
This is all new to me, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
So they had 3 names on the table earlier in the week. It was Wasatch, Mammoth, and Hockey Club.
Oh, okay.
No, okay. Yeti didn't make the.
Well, they had earlier last week. They had Yeti on there too, and they actually filed trademark for Yeti, and they couldn't get it, and were denied by the patent office because they thought, and this reminded me very much of like WWF, WWE, right?
Right.
They thought that people would mistake the brand for the coolers and the tumbler cups.
Yeah.
And it's like, it reminds me of WWF. Like, I can't see anybody mixing up Stone Cold Steve Austin with a panda bear. Like, I don't see the issue.
Unless you're selling concessions and you're giving out Yeti cups.
Yes. I viewed that like a partnership waiting to happen. But so Yeti was denied, and we now know they went for Yeti, and Yeti's gone off the table.
$50 drink at the concession stand just for the cup.
Just for the cup, yeah.
And so Yeti got replaced with So Wasatch ended up being, I still don't know if I'm saying that right. And then
I don't know if you are either. I can't even help you there. I have no idea. I was going to ask you guys.
Yeah.
But from what I understand now, is it not between Mammoth and Outlaws?
And Hockey Club still.
And
right?
Hockey Club still. I'm kind of rooting for Utah Hockey Club.
Well, so the other thing too, because obviously I see a lot of Denver-based stuff, being an Avalanche guy, and I've seen nothing but Denver media and fans freak out about every possible Utah name because they're all going with mountain-themed names that are all already Colorado sports teams. So the Colorado Mammoth,
that's right,
is the national or their state lacrosse team. Yeti is the mascot of or it was the mascot of the Avalanche for years. So everything they're picking mountain team is already kind of, so they've been, but it's kind of one of those things that if you're not from there, you would never, you wouldn't really know.
Wouldn't cross your mind.
No, so it's not but I just find it funny to see, but anyways.
Now the Outlaws, I saw a mock-up of the jersey with the Utah Hockey Club colors. And while the logo looked kind of cool, if it is really their logo, but I've seen it multiple times, the colors don't match the logo, you know what I mean? It's like the Utah Outlaws, and here's this bandit almost with 2 pistols and the mask and the cowboy hat on and stuff, and it's baby blue. You know what I mean? Picture a hat and a red bandana and dark gray guns or something, and it's baby blue, navy, white. Yeah, it just feels very you know what I mean? Your 2-year-old's bedroom, outlaw, you little outlaw, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate Mammoth, but I'm low key rooting for the Utah Hockey Club. I actually don't mind that logo or anything. Why can't it just be Hockey Club? You know what I mean? Like soccer,
Skinwalkers.
like football does it. Yeah, skinwalkers.
It's a bit like when a band releases a self-titled album. You know, it's kind of like,
yeah,
what are you trying to say with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the quintessential.
I get you.
You know, so it's like the hockey club. It's like
all four of us as music guys, you know, like which album's your favorite Dream Theater album? Dream Theater. Yeah, that's what I said.
Exactly.
Which one's your favorite album? Dream Theater.
And in my opinion, they just they shouldn't you can only play that card once.
Yeah.
And you just played it randomly in the middle of your, like, you know what I mean? Like it just.
Yeah. Mine's 6 degrees of inner turbulence, by the way. Let's listen. Yeah, no, but I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, but
so you're saying they should be the Utah Yetis and they should trade for Ivan?
Yeah, maybe they can get all okay, so the Canucks are getting all the Petterssons.
Was just gonna say we posted a graphic with the Pettersson Bunch. I'm surprised it didn't get more laughs than it did. Holy cow! So they have Elias Pettersson. And they also have Elias Pettersson, and now they have Marcus Pettersson.
Man, Tocchet's going to lose his mind.
They're starting a collection there.
All he sees is Pettersson.
Yeah, like that. And you can't even okay, so you're Pettersson and you're Elias. We're both Elias. Like there's no.
What's your nickname, Petey? What's your nickname, Petey?
Petey. That's all you need, right? Is you've already established. All right, okay, Petey, and now Marcus been there for 2 days. Goes, what, coach? Oh, that's my nickname too.
Oh my gosh!
I thought he had it.
Yeah,
We should have. I was saying,
honestly,
that's true. Yeah,
twins there. Yeah,
they were twins, and the Sedins didn't even have the same names.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's too funny. That's too funny.
So we need to be doing these on Friday because every Friday there's a major trade in the NHL.
Or 6 a.m. Saturday morning. So we know what the heck the details. There's going to be, I don't know what trades are going to be left on the table here come trade deadline day, but it's been a wild 2 weeks.
James Duthie's going to start posting his. Every time there's a trade, as it gets close to deadline day, he starts posting like memes and stuff about.
Yeah.
About like stop, like we have to be on the air for like 7 hours.
But see, this is the domino effect, right? So the Rantanen trade, which this will be our little segue to talk about the Rantanen trade. That too funny that our first ever episode of this, it happens like as we're saying goodbye.
You don't even know.
We were off air for 5 minutes and my phone was lighting up. But
you don't even know how mad I was.
The Rantanen trade started a domino effect because I don't even know, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even know that he was being shopped around like on the table. Like it shocked people, I think. And then when that trade happened, it caused a domino effect and all the interest that was in JT Miller. And then next thing you know, pieces are moving. So it almost made, you know what I mean? Like if you were hard looking at a plan B and then your plan A just went out the window, well, it's all right, we'll make that, sign him now then, because that one's gone and I don't want to lose out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you can tie the whole thing to the JT Miller thing too, because the Hurricanes were in pretty deep talks with JT Miller. But it's kind of funny how the reporting works because it's like they made it seem like, and then all of a sudden when they found out the Rantanen deal was on the table, they totally switched gears. But then there was other reports that were like, yeah, well, they had been talking on and off again at Colorado and Carolina about a deal for Rantanen up until like apparently last year, but it just didn't get serious until like the last few weeks. So it's kind of funny, right? It's like, okay, they were going to make the deal for Miller, but then like this came along, but you always knew it was there. But I guess it just gets serious enough that they decided to pull the trigger.
So I'm asking the insider here because you're the big Avs guy, so you're going to know. Why did Rantanen have to go when, and I'm just going to asterisk this. I get it could be like a Mitch Marner situation for us Leafs fans. I understand, except then we find out the cap's going up and then going up again and then going up again. So doesn't that make his issues like he didn't have any issues? The issue was money, right? From what I understand.
Yeah, there's a couple of reports on it. So I think what if I've learned anything, especially after that cap news came out, which again is something we could talk about. That's a huge deal. But I'm kind of under the impression that I doubt the general managers would be too surprised by that. Like I'm sure they unofficially know,
Must have.
like things that are coming. Like they talk about this stuff and then, so the fact that news came out not long after this Rantanen deal was made, I think what actually it is I think they looked at, even with the cap going up like that and superstars wanting a percentage of cap, I think they just didn't want to be top heavy anymore. The interesting thing is Rantanen is number 3 on the list of superstars there. You could argue McKinnon, Makar, and then it's Rantanen, right? So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So I think, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but I'm saying I don't think they wanted to be in the Leafs situation with having a bunch of guys paid a lot of money. A few guys paid a lot of money.
But now can I asterisk that with, so I got a 13-year-old here who is asking me what the deal with the salary cap was. So like in simpler terms, without us deep diving into it, because I was explaining to Maddie, I was like, all right, so Austin Matthews makes 12 a year right now. And
Something
you're going to
like
jump
13, 12,
within 3 years, something like that. It's like 12. I don't know.
Anyway,
but like, let's say he makes 12 and he's in the top 3 played. Like the Leafs are locked into, like, you know what I mean? Tavares' contract's up. Marner's contract is up. Nylander's making a boatload now and locked in, right? And Matthews is locked in for a few more years. But Matthews' contract, don't quote me on the 12, but if it's 12, because it's somewhere around there, right, Phil? Like I'm close. I'm in the ballpark. The second you jump from an $88 million salary cap to then 100, and in 3 years, you're actually going to hit 113. That's actually like, I know the Leafs are like, it feels like at 88, they're stuck. But that almost feels like, so I can run out and sign 2 more Austin Matthews and have like, that's what it feels like. Or do you spread the depth and have a more even keel 4 line or at least top 3 line?
Well,
like, oh my gosh, I can afford to get a couple 7s and 8s now for my second and third line, right? Instead of
I heard an interview with Stan Bowman on Friday, and he's going to be facing this with Draisaitl and McDavid here in the next couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said basically, the cap's going up, but he said we're just talking bigger numbers with the same players. Is how he looked at it. So he said, like,
I'm torn because part of that is it bigger numbers because the players are going at, like, how much is enough? Like is it bigger numbers because the players are chasing bigger numbers, or does their agent view this as, well, yeah, comparable. Yeah, he's a $12 million player because these 3 other players get paid $12 million and he scores about what they do, and he is but your cap went up, so that should be 14 now. Or is it that other guys who have historically been a little bit underpaid or can't get a deal because of these top tier guys, does that leave more room for them, or does, you know what I mean? And then there's the whole Canadian team discussion of taxes and stuff anyway, right? But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know how that's going to go, but he'd know more than me.
Well, I think it's going to take the first big deal. So like McDavid's up and
going to set the tone.
26, right? So he's
going
to set
on to that.
the whole bar. Whatever that'll be the huh?
He's only going to set it for that year because it's all going to reset again the following year, right?
Well, yes. But like those big deals set, market value and it's going to be it's brand new territory because there is no comparables when you're into this new, you know what I mean? So, but like agents, I think like their job is to get the most amount of money for the players, and
that's their job. And then the GM job. So I'm just saying, as a Leafs fan, when you have these top players like the core 4 locked in for X amount of dollars and it's been eating up our cap space, and all of a sudden cap space frees up without you having to do anything. To me, that's like, okay, guys, I will still pay you that. Please don't get selfish and ask for more. We can go out and get 1, 2, or 3 more key pieces and we can make a run at this thing. Because part of your problem is depth. because we're locked into these 4 guys eating up 60% of your cap. You know what I mean? Like it's,
another thing I could do
But
is
it's the cap. You're in the cap situation, so you're not even looking at the 11, 12 or whatever the number is. You're looking at, I'm getting 12%, not 12 million.
exactly. It's all
So the
gears.
cap's going up. I want 12% of the new cap. Anything less than that is a pay cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
The other
heard
thing this could do
Kipper
too
say
is a lot of GMs were thinking that it could possibly start more offer sheets because all of a sudden now teams are going to have some more money to play with in the offseason, right? So it could ramp things up that way too.
Oh,
I
and
never
those have
thought
been-
of that. Yeah, that's true too.
Other than St. Louis, I mean, those have been like almost impossible because of the cap.
Montreal
Because
and
GMs don't hold on to their
Carolina.
draft picks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true too.
But up with
So to quickly,
with
I
the
guess
cap
to
going up,
quickly,
the bottom goes up too, right? Remember that? So there's going to be a lot of teams in trouble on
Yes,
the bottom
the
end,
floor.
too, on the lower market. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jay, but
oh no, it's all good. It's a good point. Yeah, it's not just like, you know, but
So
it what's interesting is some owners are going to, I think you're going to find out like some of them might, like Tom Dundon, but now he's got Mikko Rantanen, so that's really fascinating to me. Like, what's he going to do? Because he's notoriously cheap, you know.
Yes.
So like, is he going to impose an internal cap, or is he going to like, you know, open the checkbook, like, you know?
Or do the same thing they did with Gensel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've never had a guy like, anyway, this is not I could go into a lot of stuff about this Rantanen thing, but Carolina's never had a superstar that's produced. I don't know if they've ever, have you ever had a 100-point player? I don't think they have.
I honestly don't know, but why do I feel like there was years where they had 3 and 4 and 5 80-point players on the team, but no one had 100? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just uncharted territory for them. And it's just funny that they might be the ones possibly like.
They've always been a depth team. They've been pretty deep. Like they're a hard to play against playoff team every year because they're so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's yeah.
They go the opposite philosophy, right? Where we don't pay big players. We spread it all out and we roll 4 lines. I do think like I think the Avalanche looked at Rantanen as more of a product of McKinnon than being able to produce those points on his own as well, because a lot of comparisons were made to Leon Draisaitl's contract, and some were saying that he wanted, you know, Draisaitl money because Rantanen and Draisaitl are represented by the same agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that, you know, I don't think 14 million, I don't think he would have been worth that. Draisaitl can drive his own line. They've tried Rantanen on his own apart from McKinnon, and he doesn't drive play. He's an elite finisher.
But he needs that partner,
scorer, but he needs someone to help him do the work. Really strong on the puck, all that stuff, but like to get in the zone, set up, stuff like that. I mean, he's you know, he really was relying on other players to do that.
So you know what it reminds me of, and it's not. I know it's not the same at all, but it's apples and oranges. Zach Hyman leaves Toronto, and everybody chirps Toronto that there's another player performing after they leave Toronto. You put him on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah, I mean,
a pylon could produce on a line with those two.
Well, there was some, like, he scored all of his goals were from like basically inside the crease, right?
They were rebound goals. They were second chance goals,
tap-ins and everything else. So, but anyways, to tie that in to the whole JT Miller thing, you know, the Rantanen deal comes out, but they were looking at pretty close with Vancouver and that whole situation. So I was curious to get your guys' thoughts. Did Vancouver trade the right player out there? Should they have actually gotten rid of Pettersson?
Can I? Yes, they traded
Elias
the right
Pettersson.
player. Yes, they.
Sorry, the other Elias Pettersson.
So yes, they traded the right player. Can I add an asterisk? No, they didn't get enough in return. I think they could have held out and got more than what they got, but maybe they just wanted him gone.
Yeah, I don't think they had a lot of leverage there.
Probably not,
because Miller had a full no move clause, didn't he?
Oh man, he had a full no move clause. And when I heard even Leafs talk as a Leafs fan, as much as I try to be unbiased on here, I was like, man, I don't know if I want the headaches. Like, what if he comes to our locker room and 2 months from now we hear he's not getting along with Matthews or something dumb? You know what I mean?
Like it's kind of followed him everywhere he's gone.
Phil said on the last episode that it's followed him. This is not the first time. It's never been this bad, but it's not the first time. And he's moved before. And like his first stint in New York, and then he was gone to Vancouver, and now he's back to New York. And you know what I mean? Like, it's a side note. He looked good the other night. He looked like old Miller there the other night back in a Rangers jersey. But yeah, it's a weird one. Like, I don't, on paper, for a player of that caliber, you feel like they didn't get enough. But the reality of it is, if teams are scared to take a chance on him,
and it depends. Like, Pettersson's got to bounce back. I mean, he's been pretty quiet. He's got what is he, $11.5 million a year? It's a huge contract.
It's a huge contract.
I don't even know what to say is a huge contract anymore after this summer.
I know, but maybe with I don't know if you give it 2 or 3 weeks and you see this dramatic, like the tension that would be gone if those two guys, and none of us know the best kept secret in hockey is nobody knows what that issue between the two of them actually is. That it seems better. And like even their owner, and like, we might never know, but that it would be, they'd address it and it'd be better for 2 weeks and then it would slowly come back and then they're not talking again and there's tension in the dressing room. That would be a horrible, I just picture the mindset of players having to get game ready and be in the game all the time and try to, sometimes that's hard enough. You could already be having a bad day. And then you go into work and you're down a goal and we can do this in the third, guys. And except two of our leaders aren't talking to each other. And you know what I mean? Like the whole dynamic of that would just be,
I just find it interesting because you take a guy, like the thing is you need to have a guy who's kind of insane to win, I think, too.
Yes.
Like a guy that's so driven competitively and gets so angry. I say that because it's quite known that Nathan MacKinnon is quite a vocal guy and he demands a lot of his teammates and it's quite, documented how intense he gets.
Good for him.
As long as that player doesn't get suspended every year in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's funny, right? You talk about like the year they won. I mean, that was like, when Kadri didn't get suspended, it turns out they won the Stanley Cup.
Leafs fan here. How do you like them apples?
I just find that's why I asked the question, because like to me, what Vancouver was missing with that core was just really like they had a lot of skilled guys and stuff, and Quinn Hughes, he's up there for the Norris every year, but like I feel like they're like a couple years behind the Leafs core in the sense that it's a lot of young guys that it's going to take them a while to get that grizzled sort of veteran.
But man, I watched them the other night, and every time I watch them, Quinn Hughes looks better than the last time I saw him. Like he's just he's aging so well. Like he just looks, he's poised. Like he's very
Erik Karlsson with the Sens. That's what he reminds me of. Like he's a game changer from the back end by himself, and he can put the team on his back and just he's a horse.
It's just weird because there's something about him. He still looks like he's 17, but with a little bit of facial hair. You know what I mean? Like but he plays like he's been playing in the NHL for 10 years or something. Like he's just very game aware and poised, and like he's pretty quick. Like he's fun to watch. But
the whole family's it's crazy, eh?
Just
Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, like
Vancouver should trade for them. Pettersson, Hughes. Make it happen. Come on, Vancouver, make this happen.
Bring some of the stalls out of retirement and bring them out too.
And the Sedines. Just
Quinn Hughes was the one I felt bad for through this whole drama, though, because I'm just picturing him as the captain trying to be the guy that steps in between Pettersson and JT Miller. And it's like,
oh man,
Gary,
right?
Valid point, and he's younger than them too, right? So you've been handed the C, and you're younger than these two guys that have been around the league for a while, not getting
it's
along.
like, we got some locker room drama. Go fix it, Quinn.
Oh gosh.
Man, did he ever handle it good though?
Yeah.
Like everything, he was just a true pro about it all, right?
Yep.
I just wonder in the locker room, like, is he taking JT Miller aside and like
getting in his face?
Yeah.
I just the visual of that. Yeah, and I like
It's
other
such a
teams
funny
it'd be
thing.
the same thing. Like what a weird.
Yeah.
Like he's young to have the C on top of that, and then I don't know. I mean, good for him. It's like player development, right? To give him the C. Like we said, he's only getting better and better all the time. But you're not wrong when something like that rises up. Like, yeah.
I could only wish Amazon was filming this season.
Oh man,
right? That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just picture like let's say Habs, Gallagher and Suzuki not getting along. Yeah, Hudson will pull them aside there and have a talk. Do you know what I mean? Like what an awkward. Like, yeah, it's a weird situation. Like, if Hughes can get through this unscathed, and he's been very like, man, with the media, he's so good, eh? Like he's been very solid.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
just-
I mean. Like,
It's so funny. Sometimes I think about how weird, like an NHL team is a work environment, but it's like with super important employees who are 20 years old, 21 years old, and then you've got like these guys in their late 30s, mid 30s, but like they're not as experienced and they're not as like maybe skilled as the younger. It's just all backwards.
Yep.
You know? It just cracks me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if not the Rangers, is there anywhere else you guys thought you'd actually see Miller go to?
No.
You thought the Rangers the whole time?
Well, I wasn't thinking the Rangers, but now it makes sense, I guess. After it was done, I had no idea.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Because Vancouver had no leverage whatsoever, so you just didn't know where it was going to land, right?
Well, he had the no move clause, so it was kind of hard. It was just really up to him.
Pretty limited, eh?
The thing that I couldn't believe was it's been 7 years since he was in New York, which, man, like, I don't know, time goes quick, but yeah.
I'm surprised Vegas didn't pull it off somehow.
I know, right?
Well,
they did pull something off.
they did pull something off.
Good transition, Gary. Nice work.
Nice work. Nicely done, Garth.
So Vegas signs Brandon Saad, which is notable because of what he had to do. He basically mutually agreed with the Blues to terminate the remainder of his contract. He had 1 year left, and his contract was $5 million. And he basically forfeited the contract to give himself a chance to play in the NHL again, because he hadn't been producing up to a $5 million player, and he was going to go on waivers. And most teams just can't afford to bring on a guy as skilled as he is at that much cap. So yeah, smart move on his part.
I was going to say, really good on him, eh? Like that's a well played.
So of course, he signs a new contract with the Vegas Golden Knights, because that's just what Vegas does.
Yeah.
And
where the cap doesn't matter. In Vegas. I don't know how they do it every year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess
Find a way.
1.5 million is what he signed for. So
yeah, and Dallas is following the way of Vegas this year. I think you watch. Seguin's due to be back right around playoff time. It's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it Tampa that
for
started
those that
that
don't
years ago?
know? Yes, with Cooch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
20. What was he had a shirt made? Didn't he? It was
20
like
million over the cap.
21 million over the cap.
Like, holy cow! So for people who don't know, the cap applies to regular season. This is the biggest mistake that they've ever made because I know what they were going for. And I don't know that I want to see it changed, but while I want to see it changed, so the cap applies to regular season, 82 games, right? You can't dress a cap more, and you can't even hire new players. And so someone has to be legitimately injured, or we put someone on IR, and then we can go get somebody else as long as they're on IR. But if a player comes back from injury during the playoffs, even if it's like game one, and they're legitimately back from injury, which define legitimately, you know what I mean? Like ruptured spleens and stuff. That player is still eligible to play for the team in the playoffs, even though that puts them over the salary cap. And so Vegas has done it very well. Tampa kind of started it, is within the rules, but their superstar players out. They can go sign one or two more players, and then when the playoffs come around, oh, look, he's healed. And they're back for the playoffs, and whoever they signed extra is probably not re-signed in the spring, but that's okay. They were making a run for the cup, right? And that was and it has worked a few times. And now Dallas, Seguin is hurt. He's out. But his projected return to the lineup is right around beginning of the playoffs, right?
Well, I can't say anything if Gabe Landeskog comes back for game one or round one.
Well, man, if he does, good for you.
Hasn't played in 2 years, so don't know what kind of player he's going to be, but
in all fairness,
he's good enough that he makes an impact regardless.
In all fairness, it can
legitimately happen.
Yeah, it's
like it's just timing and the way it works out, right? And with the player too, right?
And my understanding is on that is GMs have said, yeah, that sucks, but also like you can't have the playoffs where teams are, dressing 20 players, 21 players because they can't put a full roster together because it's going to be over the cap. I think they've just said, it's better that we have a lineup of players that we are with us that we can just throw in the lineup if we need to. You can't water down like playoff hockey.
And vice versa. I'd argue if I paid all that money to go to a playoff game, and you're telling me Seguin is good to go, but we can't dress him because he wasn't dressed until the last game before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'd be even like from a fan perspective, it's like, are you kidding? Like he's good to go now. Now the conspiracy theorist in me goes, is he legitimately injured? Yes, he's 100% legitimately injured. You don't plan injuries. You don't want your players to go down. But if you could take just 2 weeks longer to heal, just 2 weeks, do you know what I mean? That's how it starts to feel to me, almost like, do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they plan injuries. I don't think that's planned, but it's like, you know what I mean? Projected return date, 8 weeks. I don't know, Doc, if you could make that 10 weeks, like now we'd be talking, you know what I mean? Like you can't tell me there isn't.
Is that a quote from Mark Stone?
It might be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying though. And maybe there's no truth to that, but I mean, I'd do it.
I wonder if they watch that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what you're telling me here is 10 weeks? No, I said 8, 10 weeks. Huh? Yeah.
I wonder if there's league doctors involved with that process though too. That'd be interesting to know. Just to see how legitimate
Phil, that's a great question. I have no idea. That is a great question. Because I wonder if someone has to legitimately approve them.
I'm sure there is, especially when it comes to LTIR.
That's outside of the realm of the team, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming. But I don't know. That's a great question.
So I feel like something we've talked about is like, I know you guys are you're trying to be sensitive to not make this a Leafs show because you're all Leafs fans, but like I feel like we've actually not talked about the Leafs at all. So I do feel like you should talk a bit about this last game. I watched most of it last night. The Oilers and the Leafs. It was a great game. That sequence from Wall right at the end was pretty wild. But like so that feels like kind of a typical Oilers game. They outshot the Leafs quite a bit. I think the shots were like, what was it, like 30 something to 20
45.
No, sorry. No, that's right. But I mean, like, it was 4-1 at the second. Was it by the second?
4-1, third,
Oh, was
20
it 4-1?
seconds into the third.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Marner scored right at the start of the. Anyways. But they were. Anyways, it was kind of a case where, like maybe the better team was getting goalied and their own goalie was not playing that great. So the score is 4-1. What did you guys think about that?
Well, one, speaking from a fan of the Leafs who have been goalied 4 or 5 times themselves
I was just
this
going to
year.
say this.
Tough. Do you know what
Yes,
I mean? There was
exactly.
one. Phil, who was it that we played? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. But it was like, wasn't it like 53 shots? And we
Tyson.
lost like 2-1 or something?
Tyson, all we got to bring up is the Zamboni driver. He goalied us.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Jeez.
Like,
What a
You want to do that to yourselves?
That's how
I
it
Go
was.
ahead.
This
I
always
made a
happens
vow to
against-
never mention it.
always.
So
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Well, wasn't there something there this weekend where Carolina had a whole bunch of players sick? And Brindamore was like, I'm not going to announce the starting lineup till 5:30 or something. I saw the comments online like, man, I hope they have enough Zamboni drivers.
But no, like some kid always comes into Toronto on Saturday night and stands on his head and plays awesome against the Leafs, and then you never hear of him again. And not saying that that's Wall. Like Wall has just a little bit
oh
more.
man, I'm
of an
trying for the
established
life of me
career
to
than that.
remember.
But like this
Was
always
it New
happens against the Leafs.
Jersey?
It could have been.
I can't believe I'm forgetting this, but there was one team that it was like the Leafs had like 50. I think it was like 53 shots.
I think you might be thinking of
Columbus?
or are you talking about the play? Because like so
No, it was recently.
It was recent.
Oh,
And they
okay.
went to like a shootout too, and they went to like 2 rounds of the shootout before somebody.
Because I know when the Avalanche
remember.
first got Alexander Georgiev, I had multiple Leafs fans say, "Oh, congratulations! The Leafs will never beat the Avalanche again because Georgiev comes in, he makes 50 saves, and we lose every time." I heard that from multiple Leafs fans, so I don't know if that was
I think
something
that's when he was with the Rangers. He goalied.
that was
Yeah, when he was
Yeah.
at the Rangers, man, he goalied the Leafs every time they played them.
that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if that's who you're thinking of. I sure wished he'd have kept that up, but anyway.
No, I don't remember who it was, but I didn't mind. First of all, it seems like for the last 2 years, every time the Oilers play the Leafs, whether it's in Edmonton or Toronto, it's a good game. I don't know if they just elevate to play each other, and there's a lot of speed and
I think that's what. So to me, like, there's a couple like appointment viewing. You know, to me, like, Avalanche Oilers is always super good, and Leafs Oilers is always good. I feel like, I guess it's always the Oilers, but Oilers Penguins is always really good, and I feel like it's something about those guys. Like McKinnon versus McDavid, Matthews versus McDavid, Crosby. They just tend to they don't take those games off.
no, they elevate or something to meet each other.
Yeah,
or
they
something.
really
Like,
do.
They know that it's a
And,
matchup, and they know that people are watching. Did you hear McDavid's? This is a change of topic, but it's not McDavid's.
The schedule.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was the best interview I've seen in a long time. He said, "Yeah, no," and he said it super sarcastic. Gary, he was like, "Yeah, no, we really looked forward, to a 5:00 start time, because it's
They're
great
coming
that
into our
another
building.
team just comes into our arena and dictates our schedule. That's awesome." And then he just continues to answer like because they're the Leafs. Yeah,
Yeah.
too funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
Wall, that performance. But you're right, we avoided the Leafs, but like it's he had an .938 last night or something, is what it
Right.
broke down to. And but Jeremy, you saw that save, and they're yelling like, "Could it be up for save of the year?" And the thing is, he'll go. And Wall hasn't had, this is the most games he's ever started for, and he was supposed to split them pretty evenly with Stollers, and Stollers went down, but he's taken shots in practice now, so he could be back even next week. But he'll have a game where he didn't let any soft ones in, Jay, but he just looks okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, he didn't look bad. He looks okay. And then he'll have a game like he did last night, and he's had 5. The thing is, that save last night, he's had 5 or 6 of those this year, where it's just like, what the heck? Where did he come from? If he does this in the playoffs, we're all right. You know what I mean?
So here's my thought on that as a outsider viewing. I feel like the Leafs will get these guys where like they'll get these goalies that are kind of like this, and they'll have these games and they'll make incredible saves, and you'll see these big highlight reel saves and stuff. And it's like, maybe this is our guy. And it's like, how come they can just never get one of these guys who's just square to the shooter, reads the play, keeps the rebound, keeps it calm, slows the game down? They never have that guy. It's
Do you
always
mean
some guy.
Like a Shesterkin?
I'm going to say, well, yeah, like.
Can't afford him.
I know, but like these goalies got to come from somewhere. Like Hellebuck has turned into that. I mean, I'm looking at Mackenzie Blackwood now.
Hellebuck has turned into that. You're correct. Yes,
but he's a big guy who just like he's kind of trying to make a name for himself again and resurge his career and all that. But like he's so different. Like Georgiev was so chaotic. He was like in the games he was good. It was glove saves and kicking the pad out and diving across, and it's like, yeah, and that's so, great, but like that's not consistent.
To counter what you're saying, Vasilevsky,
yeah,
I don't know, has ever made a flashy looking save in his life, but he saved it.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. It's like
huge guy, square up, cut off the angle, going down, hugging the post, and it. There's nothing flashy about it. But the job is done.
I've seen him do a post to post behind the back glove save before. So there is some flash.
Yes, right. That's fair. Like there's outliers, but you know what I mean.
But you think of these guys and they're so frustratingly consistent.
Mm-hmm. To go against what Jay's saying, the Wall is the most squared up looking goalie I think the Leafs have had in a while. Maybe Stollards is there too, but Wall is pretty sound. Like he doesn't get out of position a lot. So he's not like a dominant.
And there is this movement from when we were young, like I'm a 90s kid, as many superstars as there were in the league, there was like top tier goalies being mentioned too. You know what I mean? Like you had on different teams, like your Fuhr and your Cujo and your Ranfords and your Mogs and your Potvins and your Waz and your, you know what I mean? Broder.
Where's Cameron? We need Cameron on here.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be talking about this stuff.
Cameron to be, losing Cheevers. You know what I mean? And all
Cheevers.
But you know what I mean? Like Broder and like Hextall and Belfour. But you know what I mean? And now it's like Hellebuck, Shesterkin, arguably Demko, maybe Logan Thompson, maybe, but not always. This year, Ottinger's a beast. I'd take him in 2 seconds. I just think he's so stinking fun to watch.
Markstrom.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well,
but it's not like it used to be, is what I'm saying. Like there's no.
Well, look at who's going to play goalie for Canada.
Yes, I know. So back then, yeah.
Not Thompson.
Sam Montembeault.
You know what I mean? Like, who's the best goalie that Canada has to offer? This $2.5 million guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that that's his contract. You know what I mean? I don't need someone saying him. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there's been, not that those contracts don't exist, but back in the day, if your team had like a top 5 paid players, it wasn't uncommon that one of your top 5 paid players was your goalie. And now that's just not the case. Now it's like, all right, so spend some money on some defensemen. If we have 4 really solid defensemen, we're good. And we just need some firepower in the goalie. Oh, yeah, goalie. Forgot about that. Who can we get for...
Oh, it's not goalie now. It's goalies.
Goalies.
It's the 1A and the 1B.
Yeah, there's no Broder playing 70 of the 80 anymore, right? Like, that does not exist. So,
except
Hellebuck tried it.
Yeah. Yes,
well, it's funny.
That's fair. 78 games at a 81, 82?
82.
Vasilevsky's got to be awful close because their backup goalies never play. Like, I think he even does the back-to-backs at times, I'm pretty sure.
Well, and that's what happened with Bobrovsky, right? Like, Stoller's
and then he missed the first 3 months
better.
Of the season because he was so worn out.
Yeah, that's fair, too. But, like, Stoller's stats were better than the average, like by quite a bit than the average backup goalie, right? Who's still a backup. And you don't even hear backup anymore because it seems like 50 or 60% of the teams, it's not a backup. It's not even a starter. It's like there's a tandem, right? And they're trading off. So very few have the Vasilevsky or Bobrovsky situation where like even Dallas with Ottinger's the clear, you know what I mean? He's a beast. And then sure enough, they give Stollers a chance and out hurt all this time, but he's still tied for first for goals against or something in the entire league. And last year he was a backup. Like some of these guys aren't getting the chance either, right? Because of who they had more time or money invested into.
To go to your point, Tice, like a guy like Stolarz, he was a backup behind Bob last year down in Florida, right? So the team throughout the season, they knew that Stolarz was a good goalie, but when it came playoff time, it was going to be Bob's net. So what they did was they did the 1A, 1B throughout the season. They let Bob get his games, get his reps, all that stuff, make him feel good. But they both knew going into the playoffs, it's Bob's net.
Yeah, but when the playoffs were starting, and it's not I feel like Toronto this year, you could see like almost like a Swayman Allmark situation in Boston. Not that exists for them anymore. I heard they're even half shipping. They're shopping Swayman around. I don't know if is that true or not. I've read it a couple times, but it doesn't always mean it's true.
No, just because he just signed that deal, right? So it wouldn't really make sense.
I know, but
I can't imagine. Yeah,
that's not exactly working out this year.
No,
down there. So I don't know. Who knows? Right? That's a weird one. Yeah,
he needs to kick in the pants.
But yeah, it's different. Yeah, the whole that could be studied. The downfall of the Boston Bruins this year. Oh, what a weird. And who's still on their roster? I just like I'm a Leafs fan, and I'm not going to get into a Boston bash fest. It's not that. It's not that at all. It's legitimately. If you look at their lineup,
trash.
But if you look at their roster alone at the beginning of the season, without ever knowing how the season was going to go, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, top 2 in the conference again." You know what I mean? Like for sure, they're going to finish top 2. They might even take first, and they'll get top seed in the playoffs, and they'll go second or third round. And now halfway through the season, you're like, nope. Wow, what's happening? You know what I mean? Because the names don't match the performance. Like it's something's. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. Not what I expected. Montreal's doing better than I expected. Boston's doing worse than I expected.
Boston did this for a year not too long ago too, though, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they came back with the best season ever.
They seem to like take a year off every once in a while.
It's weird. Eh?
I think
it's like they pick. They're either gonna. Yeah, they either set records for the best regular season ever or not at all.
Very strange. Yeah. 4 nations. We're close.
Yeah, so it's been a few days since it was announced that Alex Pietrangelo decided to step down. I don't know what you call it. Not go.
Abdicate. There's a word for you.
Great word, Gary.
I don't know what that means, but it seems like a thing where you leave something. Call
your doctor.
And we haven't seen any like. I was curious if there was going to be any players go, well, if he's doing that, I don't really want to play in this thing either. But there hasn't been any other ones. So I thought that was interesting.
And I said to you just last week, I said to you guys, my fear with a situation like this is that one of them goes down or one of them gets hurt. Do you know what I mean? And you lose them for the playoffs or you lose them for the second half of the season or whatever the case may be. And like, I'm not like I said, if it's an all-star game, you never worry about someone getting hurt because no one's really trying. They're going for the flashy goal or the fancy pass or you know what I mean? And there's no hitting, right? Like nobody, but this could get very like, no, like I got the Team Canada jersey on. I want to win. Right. And it could get very, and you want that. That's what they want. But man, they're really risking, you know what I mean? Yeah. Injury. And if someone's not quite 100%, I could get Pietrangelo's perspective of like, I'm feeling like I'm only at 80% now. If I could have a week or two off, no questions asked, and just, you know what I mean?
Would he have said that if it was the Olympics?
No,
I don't think so.
absolutely not. He's
I
wrong.
don't think so.
And he's a gamer too. That's why this pulling out surprises me. Like he steps up for stuff like that. So that's why you wonder how many guys are. It's like, you know what I mean? If I could have,
there is a difference. I mean, if there was Olympics happening regularly for the last several years, there wouldn't even be this tournament anyway.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
It's going to be, I think, interesting because of this format of the tournament where they're like it's one and done, right? Like if you don't win, you go home. So like if you can't, like if you start out slow and you're trying to feel out the level of competitiveness for this thing, you're just probably going to be eliminated, you know?
So Jay, can you, because I'm going to admit how little I've looked into this other than keeping track of the roster. How's this tournament going to work?
Well, I'm no expert either, but I know that like it's not like round robin and all like and bracket systems. Like I don't know what they call it, but like there is a couple of games, but then once that starts, it's like it's just elimination games because it's a short tournament, right?
Well, 4 teams. Does everyone get to play each other at least once? Is that the idea?
You would think so.
So,
and then they probably place them 1 through 4, and then basically go through the typical pyramid or.
Well, that's what I wondered,
schedule.
But like they're not. No one's playing for third, right? If you're out, you're out. There's no like third medal, like bronze medal game. It's like, well, if you're out,
no,
go home.
No, yeah, it's like very like once. Yeah, I'm just looking at the schedules here.
I do know one thing about the tournament that's different from like double IHF tournaments is only NHL players can play. International players can't get called into their respective countries, and Finland's in trouble because they only got 4 defensemen right now.
Well,
put some forwards back.
Yeah,
you might. Yeah, there. Yeah. You're thinking Hakanpää's what you're thinking. Still not
on the roster, but he's one of the two that because he hasn't played a game for the Leafs yet. And then they got Heiskanen who just got hurt.
He played 1 and didn't finish the game, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He played, I think, like the opening game or game 2 or something. But
yeah, and he was gone again. Yeah.
So here's the format. All games in the 4 Nations face-off be played in accordance with NHL rules. Each team, I guess this goes against what I said a little bit. Each team will play 3 tournament games in a traditional round-robin format under the following point system. 3 points for a win in regulation, 2 points for a win in an overtime shootout, 1 point for a loss, and 0 points for a loss in regulation. The 2 teams with the best tournament record will then advance to a 1-game final. So that's where I'm saying, like,
no semifinal. It's just the 2 best from the round robin playing the championship.
So the 2 best will have played 4 games.
I knew it was a little different than the Olympics, but yeah, like if you're screwing around, you just don't like. Mm-hmm. There's no nothing for you.
Now, honesty time, and I'm trying to watch the clock because we haven't stuck to our time once on this hockey pod yet. But that point system, I like that way better. I don't know why the NHL just doesn't do that all the time. True. 3 points for a win in regulation. If it goes to overtime, you can't get 3 points anymore. You're playing for 2.
Yeah.
And the team that loses in overtime gets 1 because they took you to overtime. Done. That way every game's worth 3. Well, I don't want to, but Gary, you know, if I'm on a team chasing a wild card spot and I'm just 2 points back of 2 different teams and those 2 teams play each other. If that game goes into overtime, that went from a 2-point game to a 3-point game, and now I'm 2 points back of this team and 1 point back of that team because they went to overtime. But if every game was worth 3 points, straight up win, you get all 3. Win in overtime, you get 2, they get 1, done.
It keeps more teams in it longer, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my understanding on this point system and why you see it in these international tournaments more than anything is I think it's if you only play a few games, I think it allows for greater differentiation in points for a fewer amount of games.
Well, because what if someone's tied?
Keeps from having to go to the tiebreaker. Is what it's
right. So the NHL has a whole list of tiebreakers that we usually don't have to get to because there's 82 games, and there ends up being like enough kind of separation. Now, every year the parity seems to be getting closer and closer together, so maybe there's something to that. But I think that's what this point system is good for.
But you know what I'm saying. Regular season, a win is 2 points.
No matter
but
what.
if you won in overtime, it's still 2 points, but the loser got a point too.
So it's a 3-point game.
So it became a 3-point game. So every win, a win in regulation, is 2 points, which is what you wanted.
Yeah.
But if it goes to overtime, the game magically becomes worth 3 points instead of 2.
Well, and it makes divisional games actually even bigger, really, because we talk about, like, I think it was Patrick Waugh coins a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure he's the guy who coined 4-point game, like when you play a divisional opponent, because like it's not only it's 2 points for you if you win, but it's 2 points that the other team doesn't get that you're directly competing against. So with a point system like that, I mean, it's a 6-point game, right? If you beat them in regulation, like that's a bigger difference. But
it's a big swing.
Yeah. But anyway, I know I'm excited for this tournament. I think they're gonna like maybe the first few games it'll be kind of like, because some of these guys haven't played international hockey like at this level ever, so I think there might be a bit of a feeling out period. But I would assume I'm pretty sure it's gonna get pretty competitive, pretty quick. So I think it's gonna be great hockey.
I think it will be too. I think it's gonna be fun to watch.
And then we'll just see who gets injured, and then we'll argue about it for what player is in the playoffs because of this tournament.
And then my heart, there's the team I want to win. And then with my head, there's the team that I think's probably going to win.
Oh, you got a prediction? Who's that now?
I don't want to say, but who would Gary Bettman pick, boys? Not that he rigs anything. I just think when I compare rosters, like my heart, like I want Canada to win so bad. I think there's some, like McKinnon, McDavid, Marner, Crosby, great choice for team captain, has some experience and has, you know what I mean? And then when I compare, I get looking at the US roster. I think Sweden will surprise people with speed. I think they'll be very fast. But when I look at that US roster, both Kachucks. Do you know what I mean?
Well, like, I'll kind of agree with you, but
they grabbed pests for their team. Yeah. So if it starts to get heated at all, like
my argument for it was kind of like when the bubble was happening a couple of years ago, and they were doing like the play-in round. And some teams were arguing, like, if you make it a single game elimination, like, because Carey Price was still playing then, they were like, he can just win a game on his own. So I think when you're talking about like a short tournament with super important games, if there's one team that could play terrible and probably goalie their way to a win, it's going to be the US. Hellebuck, any of those guys really it can all stand.
I think so too.
And win it. I do like Canada's roster a lot, but I think that the US has the biggest chance to goalie people.
Yes.
And then the games in Boston, Canada has to leave 25% of the roster behind, so it's going to suck.
Oh, dear. All right, thanks everybody for
Matter of fact, if you're listening to this in the US, you're only allowed to listen to 75% of it.
I hope Canada comes out with 51st state jerseys.
Oh man, that'd be hilarious.
51. Every player gets number 51.
Number 51.
Yeah. All of them with the last name Tariff. Yeah. Wild. Wild.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I guess it would be even better if it was the USA and you wanted to troll Canada. You come out for the warm up with every player having a 51 jersey on.
Oh man. If people had sense of humors, that would be
I think everyone would take that really well.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Wow.
Oh dear. Well, that's a good spot, Dender.
Yeah, I think so. That's too funny. Don't even want to go. Man, oh man. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully you'll catch us next week as well. And please like, subscribe. If people could share and put this out there, that'd be great too. Had more views than I thought on the first one, so that was it was a pleasant surprise for me starting out. And hopefully it continues. Thanks, everybody.
Keep your stick on the ice.
Ciao.
Keep your stick on the ice.